Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm going to do another draft today. They did rotate out the... I don't remember what actually. I thought they were rotating out the quick draft, but it's the same quick draft event, and there's like different traditional drafts available, which are not the ones that I like super want to play in. We might try a premier draft at some point, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not... It's in Ikoria, I think, is the premier draft that's available. Actually, they do have both. We could play premier Zendikar Rising, but I'm like bad, so we're gonna play quick draft instead, and that way I have more time to pick, and also the rewards are better if you're bad in this format. I turned on the game music, by the way, which I think should be... Gosh, it's so quiet. Let me turn it up. I had trouble getting levels for it because it like changes all the time. Okay, that seems about right. So, Zendikar Rising. Okay, what are we doing? Here's a... It's not a dual land, it's a modal land. Interesting. This looks... I mean, it's way better than a Plains or a Swamp, right? Which is not saying much. Those are cards you normally do not, like, draft, get excited to draft. But this is good fixing if you wanted to play Black-White, for example. One of the reasons that I turned on the game music is that my dishwasher is running, and it's like, you can just barely hear it. It's pretty quiet, but I think it's quieter than the music, and I just didn't want any silence, so. Okay, here's a... Wow. That is an insane landfall card, isn't it? Like, it gets a 1/1 counter permanently and temporarily gets flying. This is a game ender if you get it early. So, could very well be picking that. Skyclave Shadowcat, I think is good. We had it in a good deck, but just like it never actually did anything. So, I mean, maybe it's not that great. But if you have like a source of tokens, it's pretty cool. Or a source of counters on your source of tokens, it would be even better, of course. Vastwood Surge. 2 lands on the battlefield tapped. Okay. And then put counters on, so that's pretty powerful at 8 mana. But like, you should expect spells that cost 8 to be pretty powerful. I don't think this is that good if you're paying 8 for it, probably. It's a landfall enabler, I guess, is the main thing, right? If you have good landfall synergies, you don't care that much about the ramp, but you do care about the landfall triggers. And the counters are kind of nice in green. Okay. Expedition Healer, it's a playable cleric, I think. Seems fine. This has been, like, I don't know, power 4 or greater seems like a big downside to removal. And 4 to remove is, like, sort of expensive, but it seems to me that with, like, landfall and all this other stuff, a lot of decks end up getting creatures with power 4 or greater, and this does pretty well against them. So I still think this is like by far the best card in the pack, but this is a pretty good one as well. This is no good. Skyclave Squid, yeah, no thanks. Sentinel, Brute, yeah, we know these cards. This is some pretty decent removal. 2 mana deal 3 damage, or 7 mana deal 5, sure. Subtle Strike is a good combat trick, and Mind Drain, sure, whatever. But okay, I'll take the Fearless Fledgling. This kind of fits in blue-white, maybe blue-white-green because of the landfall. Blue-white-red, I don't know. Red and green both also have landfall stuff. But it's just like a good card by itself. It doesn't need to fit into a particular color complex yet. Shadow Stinger. I just don't know why this is a rare. I don't know, like... Okay. A 6 mana 4/5 trample that like does color fixing kind of. Well, it's like it not color fixing so much, like it can be a land or a creature. I don't know what the right word for that is. It fixes something. Curve fixing? Okay, so this is a 2 mana red-green landfall synergy. Gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So you might like to think of this as a 2-mana haste 3/3, which is how it will sort of behave some of the time. Not if you play it on turn 2, but like it could fill the spot of a 3-drop, or you could just play it later on in the game as like a 2-mana card. But I don't know if it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I can't quite see that being that beneficial. Players tend to have like big enough stuff that can deal with a 3/3. So this is like an early game aggro card, I feel like, which does sort of synergize with our fledgling, right? This is insane if you can get it early enough that they don't yet have removal for it, and it gives you time to accumulate more strength. Dauntless Unity. Okay, that's a white card that you know, can be a combat trick or a finisher. Resolute Strike. Okay, sure. It's a combat trick that's really good on warriors, and like fine on other stuff, not great. Maybe even bad. I'm not sure. 2/2 is fine, I think. It's no giant growth, but like most things aren't these days. I remember giant growth from way, 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 way back, and I know they printed it since then, but reprinted it. But a lot of stuff from Alpha was just totally busted. Like the 2-mana counterspell just like counters everything. The original counterspell, pretty good card. Or was it 3? I gotta look that up actually. Maybe counterspell. Yeah, the original counterspell was just 2 blue. That is to say, it cost blue, and it was counter any spell. It's like they don't print them that good anymore. Expedition Diviner. Okay, it's a blue wizard that flies. Could work with our flyer synergy, or our, you know, it could be an addition to our flyer portfolio. Blood Beckoning reanimates things. Mind Drain is like makes the enemy discard, but like not that much. I don't know. I mean, discarding 2 cards is pretty cool, actually. I was thinking this was like one of those, they show you their hand and you pick one to reveal or something to discard or something, but it's not. Inordinate Rage, no thanks. Zendikon, no. Okay. So I think it's sort of down to Brushfire Elemental, which I don't think is that great. Maybe we could take Akum Warrior. One of these combat tricks is not awful. Mind Drain is like an alright card, but I don't know. It's good like on 3 or maybe a little later, but I feel like after that, players have often emptied their hands, so discarding 2 cards is not that much of a thing. I think I'm just gonna take another flyer though. Go, maybe you do some blue-white thing and have that be the game plan. Journey to Oblivion. I mean, every time this has been played against me, I've thrown up. And it's just like, all it is remove a creature, but it's pretty cheap. And it's unconditional removal, unless they destroy the enchantment, which doesn't happen that often. And even if they do, you're like countering any, you're removing any enchantments that were attached to the card. This is a big fast thing that wants party stuff. Okay, yeah. Okay, here's a white warrior. Could do something. We've drafted Seagate Venerant before, it's fine. Doesn't seem that good in this deck at the moment. Here's a flyer that activates landfall. It's kind of interesting. Some party stuff here. I mean, here's a red card that activates landfall. We could consider that combo with our white thing. But I think we should just be like picking a good card, and right now I think that's some removal, which happens to be in a color we're in as well, making it slightly better. I think the only other reasonable play would be another flyer. Yeah. But, I don't know. I think having some serious removal is pretty useful in a format where people can, you know, put... When they can draft, like, what are those called? Like Prowling Felidar and whatever? The 4-mana white card, it's a 2/3 that gets extra... +1/+1 landfall. Like, they're, you know, stuff can spiral out of control, and this is a nice way to take it back. Okay, here's some green Reanimator modal land thing. Seagate Banneret's fine. Anti-Cognition. Oh, there is a 2-mana creature counter. I remember talking in the last... And I've even drafted it, I just couldn't remember the cost when I was, like, trying to play around stuff. There's a 2-mana that counters a creature. Okay. There's this. It's a rogue that cares about party and is evasive. I think I should probably take this and have that be the plan, to just ignore enemy blockers with either flying or this. Blood Priest, kind of meh. I think these two are not awful either. Seagate Banneret is like a way to make my flyers better in the late game, maybe? And also just generally have a combat trick available at all times. But I think this is more useful. Curving out nicely, sort of. Allied Assault. Up to 2 target creatures. Ooh. So this is a pretty strong combat trick that requires you to have like stuff in your party. And we already have 2 cards that care about party, so that's an interesting thing to be working on, perhaps. Right, we have a rogue and a wizard. Blue and white is a good color combo for party, right? Because white has clerics and warriors, and blue has wizards and rogues. Yes, this is a good color combo to be taking party stuff. Of course, just like a flyer that triggers landfall, also totally playable. Risen Riptide, yeah, not really. We're not gonna have that many kicked spells. Okay, so I think it's like down to the first 3 cards here. I mean, okay, there's this, right? So it's a it's a black card, obviously, but it's also a cleric, and if you can like get any life gain stuff, which clerics in white and black tend to be able to do, this is a pretty powerful payoff for that, as we saw in, I think it was the last draft, right, where we had like 2 games be closed out by just like 1 Core Celebrant and Marauding Blight Priest combo. So I don't think it's out of the question to pick this. It's not white or blue, but 3 color can be fine. And it is going to increase our party counter, and maybe like we'll end up getting some more clerics. Like white-black clerics is already a thing. You could try to draft that. And just maybe splash blue, or maybe not. But I think the blue that we have is sort of guiding us in a direction that is different from this. So, like, one of these 3 is kind of, I think, a better choice, and I just have no idea which. This is another wizard, and it cares about party, and we have a card that specifically cares about wizards, which is the main reason I would think I would consider this. But I think it's worse than these 2 white cards. We have a flyer that triggers landfall, and that, like, so far our whole thing has been like trying to fly over enemy defenders. And we have a landfall card. But there's also this, which is a powerful combat trick to help us like keep something alive if like the enemy manages to get down, let's say a 3/3 flyer or something. we can maybe use this to kill their creature instead of having our creature killed. And we can sort of expect most of the time to have 2 creatures in your party, I feel like, if we're going white-blue. So I think this is pretty good? Maybe? I don't know. Is it good? What I don't even know what I'm... like. I'm just looking up Allied Assault, and it's just going to tell me what the card is. Like, is it good? I don't know where to look that up. So why even search? I think this is just like kind of more generically good. So let's just take that. Alright, a core celebrant, so that's a cleric. You know, it's a life gain thing. But so far that doesn't seem to be like much of a direction we're going in. Here's a large flyer, speaking of 3/3 flyers. But I think I just want like more of this. Give me all the birds, please. Okay, a combat trick that's also an island. Cute. I think Farsight Adept is probably better. I don't know. Maybe not. Because these are both... oh no, they're both party creatures. Oh, Cleric of Chill Depths. That's right. Oh, Seafloor Stalker is probably the pick, right? I mean, this is like a wizard, which is cool, and it draws, which is cool, and we have cards that like wizards. But overall, I just want like party creatures in general, even though all I have right now is blue ones. Rogues and wizards. We'll get clerics eventually, probably. But I think this just committing more to evasion is the way to go. Okay. So we could take a core celebrant, which is a cleric and a fine card, or we could go with anti-cognition, which is like a conditional counterspell. I don't think we're gonna have 8 cards in our graveyard very often, so this is going to be like a 2 mana counter a creature unless they pay 2, which like you're gonna have to sneak in kind of early to get this to be good. In the mid game, it won't be that great. Well, I don't know. They might like kick a spell for 6 and tap out, and then you counter it for 2, which is nuts. But more likely, they're gonna like play a spell for 5, and they'll still have some land left over, and you won't be able to counter it because they won't have 8 cards in their graveyard yet. So I think just taking a creature that's a cleric is probably fine. Deliberate is some draw, but I don't think I really want that. Just like work on some party stuff. We do have a couple of party synergies. Being able to activate both of these would be pretty cool, and having like a cleric reduces the cost of that by 2. And it's a little bit of sustain against aggro, which, currently we don't have any of. I think we're taking Smite the Monstrous here. It's another good removal for big stuff, so kind of works with aggro, right? You start with some heavy, some cheap creatures that just start smacking them, and if they put down anything big, you remove it. Dauntless Unity, sure. I mean, probably sideboarding that. Here's a 1-mana warrior, which is pretty cool. That also might help us with evasion, like doing extra damage with our evasive creatures. Cascade Seer also, like, I think a totally okay pick, probably. It's another wizard that we like. And it scries, which is cool. But it's not evasive. Like, if I were to cut a card from this deck right now, it would probably be the other wizard we have. So I'm not that excited about synergizing with it. Oh no, this one, that's right, this one's flying. This one does not fly, and it makes it much less exciting. So I'll just take this, a little guy that'll try to make our evasive creatures more powerful, and I don't know, whatever. we're not playing any of... Well, okay. Is there any chance we would ever play any of these? No. But if we did, it would be a Vampire Warrior, I guess. I don't know. I'm definitely not playing any of that. Probably not playing this. Alright, what is this? So, it's a colorless land. And... I see, it's a kicker activator. You pay mana. You pay 1 and tap this, which is kind of like paying 2 mana, right? Because you don't get the colorless mana out of it. 2, on a later turn, have this be worth 2 mana of any color, but only for kick spells. So, it's a pretty bad deal. You're paying 2 mana to invest in it, and then later you get 2 mana back, but you had to pay 1 mana for that for the privilege. So fine, that's bad, right? But it's a way to use excess mana, right? It's an excess mana sink. Any turn where you have 2 mana you don't need, you can just like save it up for the future as like a charge counter. So if we had kicker spells, this might very well be playable, but I'm obviously not taking it. Here's a cleric that's a modal with a land. That's pretty cool. Green, white. Probably not worth splashing for, right? I only have 1 landfall synergy anyway. Negate. Sure, it's fine, I guess. But I think I want this as like just a flexible land/non-land thing. Playable as a creature, playable as a land if you need to. I think Core Celebrant and Negate are the only other reasonable choices, and I mean we could take another Core Celebrant, but it doesn't really, I don't know. Negate, yeah, I mean it can stop some removal, but... Well, actually, let's think some more about like this. Why exactly do you want this card? It's a cleric, is like the main reason, right? Just we have some party stuff. It would be nice to have some clerics. But the creature itself doesn't really fit with our deck at all. It's a 2 mana 1/3 that gives you 2 life. It doesn't evade anything. This is a 3 mana 1/4, which also doesn't evade anything, but at least it like gives you life over the long haul. I don't know. So I think they actually both kind of suck. Do I want Negate? Maybe? Probably? Let's take Negate. I'm getting a lot of Core Celebrants this draft, which is fine. I'm happy enough with them. And it seems like the only card in our colors that's any good at all here. We could take another utility knife, but why? I mean, this is a combat trick. It can do some things. Oh. If you control a wizard, draw a card. Somehow I like never read that text. We do have 2 wizards, right? No, we only have 1. We've talked a couple times about drafting more wizards, but each time we've decided not to. We hope to have more later, but no guarantees. This just feels like the kind of thing that doesn't really accomplish much most of the time. Because I feel like if the opponent is trying to, I don't know. Like, say the opponent blocks a flyer. Say this one. It's a 2/2, right? They're probably blocking to kill it. And this would stop them from doing that. Fine. But unless they were blocking with like their own 2/2 flyer, I still won't actually be killing their thing, right? Like if they have a 3/3, this doesn't help at all. I still can't attack. So I don't know. I'd rather just have like another creature that like is a cleric, and helps with the party synergies. Okay, here's yeah. I've had this card before, although not on camera. It's like an expensive flying cleric, which is pretty much exactly what we want here. Yep. Target creature gains protection from the color of your choice. Sure. Here's... Okay, gains indestructible until end of turn. That's... It's just like permission to attack once. It's not flash or anything, so you can't react with it. Which is fine. It's a 3-mana 3/2 that lets you get 1 extra attack in. It's kind of evasive in its own way. But here's this like 3-mana 3/3 that draws you cards, which seems sort of good if you're like curving out mostly on 3-drops. You want more cards, right? How about this? Okay, here's like just a way to annoy the opponent, maybe, and get in with more stuff. Or also to dismantle like a bunch of tokens. But it's like 6 mana, I don't know. It's also 3 mana. We have a lot more white than blue. Not that that super matters, again. I mean, none of these creatures are like my dream, right? So I think the main question is like between these two. Do we want draw, which the opponent also gets? Or do we want like a kind of more flexible card that can return a creature to the opponent's hand? And I think this is more useful because this just like, I don't know. Letting us both draw a card, I'm not exactly in a position to benefit more than my opponent. I don't have a ton of tiny cards. I don't have anything that's like, when you draw cards, kill your opponent. So it's just like a 3-mana 3/3 that doesn't really advance our flyer game plan. This is a 3-mana 3/2, which is worse. But being able to return a target creature to opponent's hand could resolve a number of problems we might run into. Okay, this is solid removal. I'm pretty sure I want this, but let's look at the rest of the pack. Resolute Strike. Okay, I don't really own any equipment. I guess I do have a utility knife. But I don't have any warriors either yet. Oh, I have one. But a combat trick that can only target this is not very impressive. Yeah, we're taking this. Put it over here with my lands. Alright, here's a landfall that also really likes being able to fly / evade. I very much want this card, but let's look around. This is fine. This is alright, not amazing. We've passed this one up at least once before. Yep, we're taking this mouse with landfall. A 1/1 flyer with like a kicker that is not that great. Now a 1/1 flyer, oh, it's also a cleric. That's nice. A 1/1 flyer is not amazing, but we do have like that card we just took, the mouse. Where are you, mouse? There you are. Creatures get +1/+1. We have this banneret thing. So I think that we want this more than we want like a combat trick, which is what else we could take. And Cleric of Chill Depths is not... It's a much more defensive, control-oriented card, and so far we don't really have that. We have a bunch of like reasons to punch the opponent in the face. So I think we're taking the Kitesail Cleric. Dauntless Unity could be fine, but no thanks. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. I mean, it's not the worst card in the world. There are some pretty important enchantments that can come out. And everyone's running some equipment, right? There's a lot of equipment that like auto attaches when you play it, like utility knife and so on. But is that really worth disenchanting? Like, what if I just took another one of these? More core celebrants? We already have 2. It's kind of like too many. Like, this really... In what matchups is core celebrant helpful? I feel like the main thing is like aggro versus aggro matchups. And we have... Are we winning or losing those right now? I have no idea. I feel like we're probably losing them. Would adding another core celebrant help? I don't know, maybe. Probably not. But like, what else am I supposed to do? I don't know, I'll just draft this, and if I decide to cut it, then whatever. And I still only have the 1 wizard, is that correct? No, I have another here, the Geyser Mage. So, Chilling Trap. I mean, it's better than the Squid, which kind of sucks. I'll probably just sideboard it. Mesa Link, so 2 mana, 2/1. Okay, whatever. I don't want either of these. Or that, obviously. Cool. So there's a big old blue thing, or a rare blue thing. What's this all about? Wow. That is a powerful effect. I assume it's actually a good card, right? It's like a 2 mana that can't be blocked if you're playing party cards, which we're trying to do. And furthermore, if your party is full, you get like a ton of card draw. This seems insane, but let's keep looking. Cleric of Life's Bond. When clerics enter, you gain a life. Whenever you gain life for the first time, that's a very powerful cleric. Like, this fits very well, obviously, into the black-white cleric deck. It's like the signpost that says, by the way, black-white cleric is a thing. Would be insane with Blight Priest, for example. But it's also just insane all by itself. This is a landfall card, but it doesn't really, like... It's not evasive like our other attackers. Yeah. We're taking this guy in a heartbeat. An Angel Warrior. Ooh. It's a big vigilant flyer that likes party. I like that. Costs 4, which is a little too bad, but... Paired Tactician likes other warriors, but like not... This is more of a red-white card, not like a white-blue card. Tap, draw a card. Okay, there's this again. We could take another one of these. Probably will. This is a cleric that is small and flies, which is fine, but I think this is more... I mean, we should look a little bit at party balance, I guess. What do we have? 2 warriors, a cleric, a rogue, 2 warriors, 2 clerics, and a rogue, and a wizard. 3 rogues, 2 warriors, 2 clerics, and a wizard. There's a second wizard. 3rd warrior, I think? 4th cleric? We seem reasonably balanced. We're a little low on wizards. We only have 2. But that's not a big deal. And we're heavy on clerics. So I think we just take another one of these. A cleric that doesn't really advance our agenda at all. I think Dauntless Unity is the... Well... Now... This is like, if the opponent has 1 flyer that's like, say, a giant flyer blocking all of our stuff, this could be a way to incapacitate it. But that's a pretty far-fetched scenario, and often we're not relying on flyers, we're relying on can't be blocked. So I think I'm more inclined to just like take Dauntless Unity and probably just sideboard it. Glacial Grasp. Okay. Tap a creature for a while. Or Seagate Banneret or Disenchant. Oh wait, how did I not even look at this? Alright. It's a 5-mana blue card. 3 plus the number of cards in your party. So this is like... I see. So it's like 5 mana draw 3 with scry equal to the number of creatures in your party. Do we want that? Maybe. Maybe. Are we going to be running out of mana is like the main question. Or like, are we going to be running out of cards? I feel like I'm more likely to run out of cards. I don't really have much heavy stuff. I have a couple 5-drops and 3 4-drops. This seems like a good way to get to the really good cards in the deck. I'm gonna have to cut some stuff at some point after I'm done drafting. I don't know how much of this I'm keeping. But I also don't really want to figure it out right now. Well, let's cut the Celebrants actually. They're all not really doing much. It's a fine card, but not in this deck. And now we're sort of low on clerics, obviously. We have 1, 2, which is fine. And we're a little bit less heavy on 3s now. But we're still pretty light on heavy stuff, so this still seems playable. I think it's between these first 3. I don't like Deliberate that much. And Glacial Grasp, I think I like better than Deliberate. But I don't think I think there's got to be something better in one of these 3 cards if I could just figure out what my deck needs. I don't think it needs this. Like, what matchups is this good in? Is it good in aggro? Like, not really. They're gonna have a bunch of creatures, and so tapping 1 doesn't really matter. It could be good if we like need to finish out the game and they have 1 flyer or 1 reach creature or something, but it's probably not that great anyway. So we can take another of these just to make sure, or to make it more likely anyway, that we have that 5-mana activation ability. And it's also a warrior. We have, how much do we have, by the way, that cares about our party at this point? Not that much, but some. We have this, the Trap Finder. We have the Stalker. And we have this flying captain thing. And that's all that, oh, okay, also Journey to Oblivion. I think just like, that's kind of enough. And having this card is generically good anyway, and it's fine as like a 1-mana 1/2. Okay. I think I'll take another Cunning Geyser Mage, just have more wizards. Maybe? I don't know. This... Cunning Geyser Mage is also a big card, right? We sort of talked about how the deck is like kind of medium cards. Cunning Geyser Mage you can play as a 6, and it's pretty cool. This is a 4, which is nice. And it kind of like... It's going to add a fair bit of damage on the turns you play it, because it hits some creature that's unblockable or flying, probably, for like 2 or 3. But I think... This could hit for a lot more if it like... I don't know. They're pretty close, I think, in terms of value and usefulness, like on their own. but Wizard balances out the party a bit better, so I'll take it, I guess. Base camp. Okay, now that's great. Right? Is it, though? It's a colorless card that can become colored to activate party cards. We're probably not going to have color trouble, though. Because we're only in 2 colors. It's not like we're trying to play a 5-color party deck. So we'll probably have as much color as we need. Where just like another big removal is pretty cool. There's a 1/1 flash that's also a combat trick. Well, it's that or disenchant. How am I doing on rogues? I have a fair number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, basically? Yeah. Like, I'm not sure how much to play around with this guy's... Like, how much to count on activating this guy's ability. Because anytime he's on the board, like, a rogue is... Well, a party creature is pretty good. It lets me get in 2 damage at least, perhaps more. But this is a flash guy, which, like, you're probably going to want to play not on your own turns. I mean, it's okay as a combat trick on your own turn, but it still doesn't activate this guy in that case. Well... Oh, this is at the beginning of combat, so you can't, like, attack, have them block, and then flash in... Well, okay, flashing in a rogue wouldn't help. But flashing in, like a wizard or something, if you could do it, wouldn't activate this ability after your opponent decided not to block. That makes sense. I think it was correct for them to print it that way. I don't know. Probably doesn't matter a lot either way. I think it's just like a pretty shitty rogue. And I don't think just taking it because it's a rogue is good enough. This guy, notably... There will always be a rogue on the board when this guy is on the board, so you don't need more rogues to activate his ultimate ability. You would want it to like balance out your party or other party activators, but not specifically for him. So really should not consider him. Oh, also keep in mind, this could be played as a land. So we don't necessarily have to imagine ourselves having 22. We could imagine we only have 21 spells. What's the composition of our deck at the moment? 17 creatures, god. I think this is like... I think you're just like supposed to play more non-creatures than this in a draft deck, and like I just draft too many creatures is one reason I lose. I don't have enough interaction. I don't know. Let's take in disenchant. There you go. Here's a cleric or another negate. Gains indestructible, huh? I think these are both totally playable. I mean, I almost drafted one of these, and I did draft one of these. But I think I'd rather just have more counterspells lying around. This is basically just like a cleric that does nothing. Which is not that impressive. All of our attacks are focused around like being able to evade enemy defenders. This one is about removing them, which is similar. But everything else we have has some synergy with ignoring defenders. This one doesn't ignore defenders, but it buffs your creatures once they get through. So I think adding Angel Heart Protector to get another cleric is the wrong idea, and I'll just take another negate. Fine, another disenchant. Again, we have too many cards. I'm going to cut some stuff later. I don't really know what. Okay, maybe you got too many disenchants. Well, okay, I might as well just main deck it with the other one. Alright, so how much do I have to remove here? 4 cards, not bad. Color-wise? We have a lot more white than blue. So it makes sense to have 9/8. And I think I want to consider this as a spell and not as a land. So I don't. You could say, oh, let's play 8/9 and then have this as like a potential extra land. I mean, one thing we could do, I guess, would be cut a plains and not put anything back for it. I don't have much heavy stuff, and I don't have any draw either. Okay, sure. And I have this as like one potential fixer for it. Okay, fine. That's a nice, easy, painless cut. And we definitely don't want 3 disenchants. That's absolutely ridiculous. We probably don't want 2. Do we want 1? I don't know. 1's probably okay. But I think it's probably my least favorite card in the deck right now. I could cut a negate, but I think I'd rather have negate than disenchant. Yeah, alright. How about now? Look at that! 40 cards. Amazing. Okay, let's get a game in. And probably have, in the next episode, all the rest of my games. Oh, so I wanted to look at something someone asked a while ago. Is like, can you adjust your sideboard in between games? And I thought the answer was no. But actually it's yes. Huh. Well, that's pretty cool. So what you sideboard does matter. I thought it was like in best of 3 format, where you can sideboard like within a match in between games. And sideboarding just like meant nothing in best of 1. But it doesn't. You can actually, if you find out one of your cards is not working at all, or people are playing a lot more equipment than you thought, you can bring the disenchants back. Interesting. I don't think it's really that important, because it just means you misjudged the meta. Oh, what do we want as our card art here? How about this guy? Whoops, no, come back. You're the card art. We're all about evasiveness and party. And that's exactly what that card does. So there was one draft where one of my cards that I drafted, I like realized it was just complete junk, and I should have taken it out and put something else in. It would be nice to know that that was an option. Rather, it would have been nice. Hey, we got a doppelganger over here. 3 lands, a bunch of 1-drops, and a 2-drop? I'll take it. A little bit light on planes, though. We might have a bit of trouble, like, playing... Yeah, obviously I'm not kicking it. Playing our large number of small white cards. It's not a big deal, though. It's a little bit of a deal. Okay, not gonna block. Fine. Gotcha, I have another. No, not that big. Not that big a deal. Okay. You got 1 mana back. You're not going to be able to use it, I guess? Oh, I will absolutely block this. I don't want him having a lifelink. We might actually have wanted to take out our landfall cards. We didn't get any synergies for it, but it's just like, it's fine on its own. This synergizes with it, but it's also fine on its own. Oh my god, the music, please. I'm turning the music back off. It sounds like I should be watching Star Trek. Also, the dishwasher is finished, so... it's no longer important that I have the music on. No blocks. Opponent's running tricolor. My party is looking pretty anemic, huh? I just have the one cleric. I'm gonna get warriors this turn though. I could block this, I guess, but I don't want to. I just want to swing in for 5. Actually, let's just swing in for everything. Yeah, these can activate even if they're not tapped. Even if they're tapped, I mean. Alright, that was fun. And I have, like, letting my opponent attack me is even less of a concern because I have this that's like gain 4 life, which is pretty cool. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. It's a 2/3. So I guess I attack with just this guy, and if he blocks, I trade them off. Probably, right? And if he doesn't block, I play this 4 mana 4/4 flyer. Yeah. I think he does block, though. No. Okay. It's a 3/3. Oh, I don't have the cleric on the table yet. Whoops. No. Oh, I just already have warriors and clerics. I thought this was adding another one, but it's not. Okay, definitely should have played this. It's a 3/4 that does more. Ooh, I have 6 mana. And I can get in there for 6 if I just remove that. Actually, for 7, I guess. Good game. That was a pretty quick game. I guess, I mean, we hope for games to be quick because we don't really do well in long games. Red or white spells? Oh, we have white as a daily today. Okay, so that was a taste of the games to come. I don't know. Are you liking the format where I spend like almost the entire first episode drafting because I'm a slow drafter, or like, but then have one game at the end? Would you rather the draft be a totally separate video? I don't think I want to cut the draft because people are sort of into watching that, and it's a big part of the run. But I'm not sure. If you guys have format change suggestions, I'd be interested in hearing them. But whether or not you have any, I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.